I would like each pair to introduce each other to the rest of the group. So who'd like to start? All right.
Great.
Cedric.
Okay. I have the pleasure of talking to Sue Ann Heron, who is a postdoc. She has been doing, this is her second year. She's been doing a part-time postdoc here at AgeSong. She also teaches down in Palo Alto at the University of SOFA, and she teaches person-centered art therapy.
Wow, you're amazing.
She has a very interesting lifestyle. She does a lot of extensive traveling, her and her husband. She happens to know some of my iconic friends. And she has done a lot of things around legal issues, around advocacy for employment discrimination. In fact, we talked about a couple of very famous cases that her husband was involved in with John Burris. I don't know if you guys know who John Burris is, but he's probably one of the preeminent advocates for social change against public institutions. He sued the Oakland Police Department and got a consent decree. He was also part of the San Francisco Fire Department's consent decree. And her husband and him are good buddies that hang out together, and she's a very interesting person.
Wonderful.
I've got to stand up, and I can't top that. Remember your name.
Cedric Jackson.
Thank you. Well, Cedric Jackson is equally interesting. He is a phenomenal person. He's a leader in San Francisco for the Black Leadership, I'd say, Association. I don't know how to say that properly. He's been involved in all kinds of social justice, and he is a world traveler. He travels all over. He's worked in San Francisco and lived in San Francisco for many years. He's traveled and does things with other cultures and sees what opportunity presents themselves. And he's now completing his doctorate and is going to do work here. And as a person who respects elders and wants to work with elders, he's here with us today. Yay.
Okay, who'd like to go next? All right.
Bingo.
You can be it.
Did I confront you? No, go.
Okay. So I got to meet Lauren today, had a really interesting conversation with her. She is in her first year in the doctoral program at California School of Professional Psychology. And Lauren got into psychology because she used to work with a assisted living center for assisted living for individuals with disabilities. And part of her job was to provide resources for the individuals. And she didn't want to just give them resources to use. She wants to help them be more proactive, change the mentality of their thinking so that they're more independent. And the super interesting thing is she goes whitewater rafting every summer. And last summer, she actually flipped the boat, swam under it, and came out fine.
So I got to talk to Jane this morning. Jane is getting her MFT at SF State. She also is working at the Asian American Substance Recovery Services, and works with women there. And the amazing thing about Jane is that she spent 7 years working as a tour guide at Disney World. And she said that working there is actually what inspired her to get into the field of psychology, because she found that the people going there on vacation and the people working there were actually trying to escape from their problems by going to supposedly like the happiest place on earth, but they didn't really escape their problems. They just kept running from them. So she got into psychology to help people, face their issues head on and find like real happiness from within, as opposed to trying to run from them. I thought that was really amazing.
I talked to Adina Holmes. She's an MFTI. She goes to Notre Dame,
New York.
okay, in Belmont. She lives in Burlingame, so she's commuting. Before she started back to school, she worked 30 years in software sales, high-tech industry. She said she's an avid reader. Right now she's in the process of writing her master's thesis, and the topic is close to her heart. She's writing on resilience in breast cancer survivors. And Adina said that it was okay to share with you that she's a 10-year cancer survivor. I know, it's like, oh. For the past 8 years, she's been volunteering on a breast cancer hotline and walk-in center. Yeah. Adina.
Thank you. Okay, so I got a chance to interview Penny Roper. And Penny Roper is a pre-doc in her 5th year of school, going to Argosy for a PsyD next year. And she has finished all her coursework and has finished her dissertation. Just the general topic, because it was like, is attachment theory. So she can talk with you more. So one of the things that's unique about Penny is that she loves lighthouses, and she's visited all the lighthouses in California or Northern California? California. And then another really cool thing about Penny that's unique is that she hiked to the top of Half Dome all by herself. And she just loves the outdoors and hiking and camping, and very cool. So that's Penny.
Okay. Who'd like to go next? All right.
So I met Eva, who's named after her great aunt. She chose her name herself. She liked the name. Given she met some of her friends after seeing them for a really long time, found out that they changed their names. She thought she'd change her name also, so she did just that. And Eva is a MFT in her last year at CIIS, living in San Francisco, but also has lived in DC, Western Massachusetts, lived in Japan for a while. Her dad was in the State Department, spoke Japanese as a kid, but not so well anymore, so don't try it. And also did some work in Guatemala, done a lot for community mental health for over 20 years now, I think you mentioned, so has a large commitment to community mental health. And what else am I missing? Am I missing anything?
That's pretty good.
We actually lived in some similar places, so we kind of found that quite interesting. And I think that probably the most interesting thing to me that you mentioned was the fact that you were the only kid in the school who was non-Japanese, really speaking Japanese. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Thank you.
This is Cyril Williams.
Sorrel.
Cyril, sorry. And he's not changing his name because it's a unique name. And he's very unique. He comes, I think, he has a doctorate in organizational psychology already, but decided he wanted to, and does consulting work. But he decided he wanted to be a clinical psychologist, and so he's getting his, he's doing that now, and that's why he's coming here to work at AgeSong. And so he comes from LA, and he comes from a background where not a lot of people kind of got out of the neighborhood, and I asked him why, and he said he's smart, which is obvious, but also that I think he listened well, and he just kind of it sounds like to me, I'm interpreting as but kind of an inner drive to do what he wanted to do. And so he's lived in North Andover, I think he lived in San Francisco now. He lived in Northern Virginia. People wouldn't know that he hunted as a kid, and that he's also eaten a rattlesnake, and he took ballet as a kid. He's really kind of a multifaceted guy, and so it's really interesting to me. So, thanks.
you like to go next?
Yes. So I actually had the pleasure to, why don't I stand over here? Thanks. Thank you. I had the pleasure to speak with Avril, and she is originally from Louisiana. And if you notice, she's dressed beautifully in white. And that was what really, I'm a very visual person, this is what attracted me to her initially. She is going through some training for the Santeria religion, which is out of Nigeria by way of Cuba. And if you notice her kind of dodging the cameras, if this is all right to say.
That's perfect.
Thank you. And having her photo taken, as part of her training, having her photo taken or being filmed is not in agreement with this particular religion. She's a pre-doctoral intern here at AgeSong. Loves working with elders, and recently lost her dear grandmother about 2 years ago, which we have in common. I lost my grandmother in 2006. She's lovely, grounded, kind, and I feel she'll make an excellent addition to any program anywhere. Thank you. Thank you.
And yes, I'm dodging these, so I'm like, so my apologies, it's all goofy. And I got the chance to sit and chat with Michelle for a bit, and found out that she is an MFT trainee over at Golden Gate University, and that she was kind of grounding herself a bit, having sort of done a little sort of getting over here and sort of the hustle and bustle and everything. She was just like, okay, hold on. Sort of settled herself, and she's like, okay, now I'm good. And I was enjoying seeing that focus and that sort of like, okay, I'm getting all here, and just had that awareness. She has her own practice. She's done work with folks that has to do with holistic coaching, and she is, I believe, you are certified or licensed?
I'm certified in lymph drainage therapy, both
That's
with
what it
water
was.
and Bernard-Cheekley methods, and I specialize in pre and post-op.
Yeah. So she was, that's kind of, I thought that was actually pretty darn impressive, because I've understood that neither of those is the most easy type of thing to work with. She also has done a lot of work with aromatherapy, and has an extensive knowledge of Western astrology, and not in that sort of passing sort of way, but all of a sudden she sort of opened her mouth about like, when were you born? And all of a sudden it was just like, and it was very impressive. We were talking about why each of us came to be here at AgeSong, and she was saying that she really likes the way that AgeSong is positioning itself to sort of be an advocate for elders, and that she has, having lost her grandmother and also having lost a close friend not too long ago, both obviously were elders. She's just sort of been seating herself in wanting to work with that population, wanting to also be an advocate, and also wanting to offer that sort of that warmth and that space for folks who do typically sort of get shunted off to the side at a certain point by a lot of society. And I found those to all be very sort of lovely, warm, and very genuine things in getting to speak with her. So thank you for giving me that opportunity, y'all.
Who'd like to go next?
We can go next. Yeah. You want me to first? Okay. This is Alani. She was great to talk to. She was a cook in the Army, and she was in Texas, and she liked that because there were trays of cupcakes. Things she could eat. She goes to Argosy right now, San Francisco, but it's not actually in San Francisco. It's in Alameda. And so we laughed about that. And then she just stopped working a week ago at a methadone clinic, and she said it was very, very intense and a lot of very upbeat and things. So she's excited to start a new chapter working here at AgeSong.
Hi. So I interviewed Veronica, and she was a student at Pepperdine, and now, she's an MFT intern. She graduated this year, December, last year, just in December. And interesting fact about her, she has a triple citizenship. So she's a citizen of the United States, citizen of Argentina, of Providence in Italy, and she's working on her citizenship in Spain. She moved here from LA, so I think she's been here like 10 hours in the Bay Area. She likes our, I guess, quote unquote, clean air. I mean, I don't think this air quality is that good, but she's in love with it. She liked the breeze we had a little while ago, and she also speaks Spanish.
Just like the second time when I first moved from Los Angeles to San Francisco, I had the exact same experience. You just, oh my God, I can't believe air can be so fresh and like.
And the sky's actually
visible.
blue and not gray.
Yeah, it's
weird.
Easy sort of smog killer. Yeah. But anyways, thank you. Who'd like to go next? All right, please.
So I have the pleasure of interviewing Erica. I took a couple notes here. She's an MFTI, and she's currently at a private practice, earning hours. And this is AgeSong is gonna be her first community mental health internship or setting. She's a somatic psychologist. So she's really in tune with the body and the different feelings that we get. I'm not too familiar with it, so I'm looking forward to getting a chance to talk to her about it. We're going to be at the same location, so I think it ended up working out pretty well that we sat next to each other. She's from the Central Valley, which I'm from the Central Valley as well. She's from Modesto, I'm from Fresno. Let's see. She hiked the Grand Canyon when she was 10 years old, which is pretty amazing. And let's see, she's got 2 bachelor's degrees, so she didn't double major, she actually got 2 bachelor's, and she started out in interior design, right? And then she just dabbled in a bunch of different things and kind of came full circle to psychology, and she feels like she's finally doing what she's meant to be doing, and she's found her calling, so thank you.
I'll go next. This is my new friend, Steve.
I'm sorry. Really I appreciate your ambitiousness, though. It's really great. So I'm just going to give myself a little space here. So this is Daniel, and as he mentioned, we are both from the Central Valley. He is also the oldest of 3, as am I, so we sort of connected on a couple of different levels in that way. Different than me, though, he has been in this field for quite a long time. He is currently working on his pre-doc, and he's been working as a social worker, working with developmentally disabled adults and children for the last 11 years. And he's currently working full-time in that, as well as starting this internship here, and he has 95 patients in his caseload right now. So he's going to be working quite a bit while he's with us. So if you happen to catch him on a weekend or an evening, say hi, feel his, give him a little extra love and energy if you can.
Thank you.
He was in LA for 7 years. And he was working as a counselor in a day program there, sort of straight out of school until he moved up to the Bay Area. He was raised by his grandmother and is very close to both of his grandfathers. And he was interested in the internship at AgeSong because he was intuitively drawn to working with the elderly, and knowing that a large part of our population is now moving into that population, and really wanting to see how he could be in service. Something unique about him is that he started off in sports psychology and actually has been to 4 professional boxing matches in Las Vegas, which is sort of a little passion of his. It's really exciting, really invigorates him, and he really loves watching the sport. He also happens to be very laid back and mellow and patient, which I think are qualities that are going to serve him throughout his career.
This is a pre-doc from the Alliance CSPP campus in Fresno, and has had some very interesting practicums in his first year of school. And I was excited to learn that Steve has been to approximately 80% of the kind of states and significant areas in the United States. And we had some fun chatting about places that we visited.
Oregon?
Yeah.
So this is Jacob. He's a practical student here. He's at CSPP local, right? JFK. And he's been here, this is his second year here now as a practical student. I was interesting to hear. I wish they're one of my practicals I could have stayed at like twice. But of course they keep moving us on. So one of the things that he really likes to do in his spare time is go diving and spearfishing, and he likes to eat the raw fish. And I was like, oh, that sounds great to me. I only go spear chucking at the sushi restaurants. So it was really great to talk to him. He's a really nice guy to talk to. Thank you.
So this is Ben, and Ben is a pre-doc going to CIIS in the SciDoc program, and he originally got his bachelor's in psychology at UC Santa Cruz, and then one very kind of unique side road that he took was to go down to San Diego and work in, let me see if I can say this right, molecular cellular biology, working with rats and things like that, of which he had very strong reactions saying, no, I don't like that. And so he's come back to now study again to become a SciDoc to work with people. Let's see what else there is. We talked about a whole slew of things, but we connected in ways that were very pleasant. He's a wonderful guy.
Humans are better to work with than mice. This is Brandy. He went to school down in Pacifica in Santa Barbara. Is that right? Come up here, has worked at Langley Porter for 7 years. Is a postdoc, right? And did his dissertation on imagination and healing. So we had a long tangent about what that meant. And he's also a very cool guy, so there you go. Brandy.
And his dissertation is on ego and the death and dying experience. So.
Slug power.
Yeah. Represent.
For those of you who don't know what that means, I went to UCSC too, and the mascot is a banana slug. Slug power.
Okay, let's see. Who do we have left? All right, let's make sure.
Yeah. So I had the pleasure of speaking with Stephanie, who is CSPP doctoral student, and this is her second year here as well, and she's doing a really amazing thing, which I think is pretty neat, and I'm sure you will as well, with reducing medications and more with behaviors. So why needlessly medicate someone when we can work with them and treat them like a human, right? And work with that. One really cool fact that I really enjoyed and stuck out with me was the fact that you actually have a degree in English literature as well from Humboldt. So we kind of connected with our humanities background, and that's Stephanie.
Actually, didn't get your last name.
Don't worry about it.
Last name, and so he's MFTI, went to Pepperdine, and also has been working, actually I think the most important thing, this is just my bit, but I think he's done a really important job supporting Brandy over at Wood Park. So that's, to me, really important because we, programs need people and sticking it out. So he has some experience coming in here, so there's a little bit of continuity in terms of working with the population. And what else? Oh, I think one also interesting fact is that John's background is a little bit mixed as well. He went to Berkeley and studied ancient Greek, and went to Bulgaria and had a little stint as an archaeologist. So, and also worked in with intensive outpatient patients before, which is also an important thing to have the capacity for. So that's my scrambled version of having my aid.
Thank you.
Oh. So Mona and I talked, and Mona is one of our clinical supervisors here, and she has a long history working in elder care, both on the administrative side and on the hands-on side. She also recently, sort of in the same vein, has found herself as the matriarch of her family, extended family of over 100. She's the current reigning matriarch, and that archetype has really been embodied in her recently with family members sort of holding her there, which is very cool. And that's Mona.
So I had a chance to talk to Carrie A, who this is her second year here, and I've seen her in passing over the last year, but really never spent much time with her. One of the most unique things about her is her name, Kyrie Eleison. Some of you may recognize that. But it didn't come from, her parents didn't choose it out of a religious context. It was just out of the beauty of the name. We actually, Kyrie is an MFT. She's going to finish school this year. It was interesting, in talking, one of the things we discovered we shared, we were both from families where we were the only ones who left. So she's from a family in Florida, and she's the only one who was left. And my whole generation, my siblings left, and I just visited 100 people who all stayed in the same place. So that was really interesting. And Kyrie is going to be an intern here in San Francisco the next year, and she's also going to be working with Stephanie, who is doing, and together, they're going to be doing an interesting project on care mapping. And at some point, y'all will hear more about that, but it's a really exciting project that's going to happen here.
So I'm very lucky to know Mahwa, who is from Casablanca in Morocco, and her name is Mahwa. Sometimes it's a bit hard to pronounce in English. She's a medical student entering her 4th year in Paris, University of Paris, and I think she will be trying to become a cardiologist. But she still have the chance to change her mind. And she will be actually working here for only 8 days from today, and then she will go back to Paris. She actually cooks gorgeous Moroccan food. I had the chance to taste it, and others too. And she likes to do belly dancing. That's it.
I was so lucky to meet the nerd Châtelain, who is a Swiss guy, very cool and very kind person. He is a medical student. We are in the same university. He is in his 3rd year, and I met her here. I didn't met him before in our university. I discovered him here in AgeSong, and he is passionate with geography and other cultures, and he is a really cool guy.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry, last one. My name is Cheyenne, and I met Carissa. She is from Concord. She lives with her wife and her pet cat in a lovely house. She has dealt with children in the past and the LGBT community, but she wants to now work on, giving, I think we're talking about sex therapy and giving couples counseling. And what's interesting is her dissertation that's on people that can be romantically linked, but not, that can be romantically attracted to some people, but not sexually. And while they can be sexually attracted to some people, but not romantically. So that was interesting on that. Thank you.
I got to meet Cheyenne. He is originally from Canada and is going to JFK to get his MFT. And this is his first placement. He's very excited to be working with elders and kind of see where that takes him. And something very interesting about him is he wears stones, different stones on each hand to help kind of balance his energies.
And we have one more person who's with us today. If you could just stand up, introduce yourself, talk about a little bit about who you are and why you're here.
Okay, my name is Rachel, and I work with Lauren Steinberg. I've been working with her for 3 years now. I am not an intern, but I am going to school to become a nurse practitioner. And I'm glad to be welcomed to this program today by NEDAR. And I hope that you guys all enjoy this time as being interns. Thanks.